So, what do you think is the best way for an entrepreneur, business owner to find a mentor or coach that's a great fit for them?
The pre-side before you even reach out is make a list of people you think would be a good fit based off what you want to do and the answers you want solved, and then start studying those people. And then once you narrow that down, we are live. How's your weekend, Megan?
It was good, pretty good.
Anything
How about
special going
yours?
on?
This weekend, no, it was pretty much cleaning and catching up on house stuff.
All right, sounds fun. What
Yeah.
was it less chaotic than your 4th of July weekend?
Yes, a lot less chaotic. It was like got to catch up on everything and I won't say a lazy day, but yeah, a lot less chaotic. No fireworks.
I mean, to have a lazy day with kids is kind of hard. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
You're a
my
parent,
my brother-in-law came back from his honeymoon in Greece, and he was
Cool.
telling us, like, yeah, we sat out the whole day. We had a private terrace, and we sat out there in our own private pool. So the whole day, we would just sit out there by ourselves. We read, I finished 3 books.
Read a book.
We'd read. We would just be quiet. Then we'd go into the pool. We'd have lunch together out there, and then at nighttime we'd go to a restaurant or go for dinner.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife and I looked at each other and we're like, yeah, we're like 15 years away from that happening.
Right.
and even then, there's no relaxation because you have kids and you're worrying what's happening and what's going on.
Yes. Yeah.
But I now remember our honeymoon. We went to Hawaii, and it was that just carefree relaxation. I think that was the last relaxation, truly nothing to really focus on, just be in the moment type of vacation that I had in a long time.
Well, probably for the rest of your life. Because
Thanks.
It's
Thanks.
true. No,
Thanks.
It's true. As your kids get older, even if they're, out of the house, I think you're always worried and thinking about them. So
My sister's in Greece right now. They went on a Mediterranean cruise. They're in Greece right now, and she, her kids are older. The youngest is 12 years old and is in sleepaway camp. So all the kids are gone. She looks from the pictures pretty well disconnected, but one kid wants to leave camp. She's probably dealing with things. You're right. I don't think
behind the scenes.
Yeah. All right, let's kind of jump into it. No one cares about my problems or the fact that you had a lazy Sunday. I don't think that's why they're listening in. So let's kind of jump into it.
Get to it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay. Our first question is from Luke. All right. So, as an entrepreneur who's also a father, how do you navigate the challenges of balancing family and business?
A question very near and dear to my heart. There is no right or wrong way. There's no balance. It's what you want and what you're kind of looking for. As an entrepreneur, I have a mandate to grow a business. I have staff. I have a team that I'm responsible for. But at the same time, I'm a father of 2 little kids, a third on the way within a month on the way, and I prioritize what I want to prioritize. So we have this situation where everyone thinks that there's going to be this perfect world of balance where it's going to be, okay, I could focus 50% of my time on work, 50% of my time on family. You'll actually spend more time at work than you do with your family. So that would be lopsided to begin with. That would be weird if while you were at work, you're focusing on your family. So just that 50-50 split doesn't even work. But then you're at work most of your time. Are you going to focus most of your life on work and not in your family? So it doesn't really make sense. And people searching for that balance, they have a hard time because it's not there. I had Randy Zuckerberg on the podcast. That's Mark Zuckerberg's sister. And we were talking about this exact situation. And she had a great phrase for it. She called it lopsided balance. lopsided balance. And I think that's a great way to phrase it, because it's always going to be lopsided. At one point, work's going to take up a little bit more of your time. And then at certain points, the family should be on all your time. Sunday, there should be no balance, right? Like, I'm off work, I'm with my family, I'm with my kids. When I'm with my kids, there's no balance anymore. It's 100% attention on, or should be 100% attention on my child or my family or my presence. I'm having, a dinner with them at night. It should be 100% attention on them. No balance. It's not 50-50. Okay, let me donate 50% of my time for this dinner here, and then I'm going to do work. The same way when I'm doing this right now, my attention's here. My attention and focus is here. So everyone looking for this right or wrong way, I prioritize it. I make it a non-negotiable.
Mm-hmm.
I have, sure, does that mean there's going to be times where I'm traveling and I got to do things for work and I'm going to miss things? But yeah, but if I say I'm going to make it a priority that I put my kids to bed every single night, that I'm home to put my kids to bed every single night, guess who's in charge of structuring my day? I am. Well, you are for me, but I'm in charge of my day. I don't have to take that call. I could take that call later. I could take it earlier. I'm in charge of my day. People don't have good time management skills. They don't know how to prioritize. They don't know how to say no to things. They don't know how to set boundaries. And that's where it leads to the unbalanced feeling. But yeah, there are times that I could sit there and say, I want to make it a priority. And then, a client's in from out of town and I got to do a dinner meeting with them. But even then I could say, hey, can we do it at 8:00 instead of 7:00 so I can put my kids to bed? And most of the time they say yes. Now, when I'm traveling, it's a different story, but long answer to say it's a journey not worth taking in search of balance. It becomes more of a, how do I prioritize things? How do I manage my time? How do I structure things a little bit better? And how do I, when I'm in certain moments, focus 100% of my attention in those moments?
Mm-hmm. I like, what did she call it? Randy Zuckerberg, lopsided balance.
Lopsided balance, yeah.
That's perfect. Yeah. Okay. Next question is from Joseph. What are some tips to help keep work and family separate so that your family time isn't constantly interrupted with work?
Almost the same thing as last question. It's boundaries. It's You're a human adult. You're a human being who's an adult. You have full control. Put your phone away.
Mm-hmm.
You got to go a level deeper than just, how do I do this? If you find that whenever you're with your family, you find yourself checking your phone, and everyone's guilty about this. Like, I'm not perfect at this by any means, but if you find yourself that you're always with your family checking your phone, well, guess what? You ask your question, why am I always checking my phone when I'm with my family? Okay, you have your answer. What can I do to prevent myself from doing that? Leave your phone in a different room. Sounds like a good answer. You could do that. Oh, no, I can't. Well, so now you're making excuses, but you're an adult. Like, so how do you not get distracted when you're with your family? By prioritizing family time and setting those boundaries and being okay with it. I just took 7 days off. That was hard. It's hard. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's decisions. We make decisions. And I think, I don't want to go too deep on that question, because I don't think it's a deep question. I think it's super simple.
Mm-hmm.
You make choices in life. You constantly find yourself torn between work and family, or being distracted when you're with your family. Put your computer away. Close your computer. Go in the basement, go upstairs, go outside with your kids and do something, and put your phone in your pocket. Like, I mean, it's, you have choices in life, and people try to shed responsibility and be like, it's not my fault. I got to check my phone for work. I got choices.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. The leaving the phone in a different room is probably really helpful, because I pretty much have my phone on me 24/7 for the most part. So
we all do. And I do too, for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not perfect at this either, but you get called out on it.
Mm-hmm.
So my wife will call me out on it. I'll catch myself on it. You know, I'll be doing something and my son will be like, Dad, let's go. And I'll be like, 1 second, 1 second. And if I see myself saying 1 second another time, I'm like, what am I doing? Put the phone away. Let's go.
Yeah.
And then be like, let's go play. And then you slowly build that routine. So if you're uncomfortable leaving your phone in another room because it's a part of your body, the phone, well, then keep it on you. But at some point we have to grow up and we have to take accountability for our actions and responsibility for our actions. You're too weak to have your phone on you and do that. Well, then put your phone in a different place. Like, do something that will make you not do that. To me, it's black and white.
Mm-hmm. Just set those boundaries and stick to them.
100%.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Your next question is, all right, this is a good one. Have you ever experienced burnout? And if so, how did you fix it and how do you prevent it? And that question is from Michael.
This question is an interesting one, only because if you would have asked me this question probably 6 months ago, before we started with a new coach for myself and before I started going on, trying to fix certain things in my life and business, I would have given you a different answer. And now I have a little bit more perspective on things. Mm-hmm. I think burnout, have I experienced burnout? Yes, in the way that they're probably referring it to, of course, but I don't really think there's such thing as burnout really anymore. So that's the part that I was getting to, is that if you would have asked me this 6 months ago, I'd be like, yeah, of course I experienced burnout and here's how I solved it. I think burnout comes from when you take on too much. That's one area. So I think burnout stopped once, I hired Megan and she got full control of my calendar. I think we take on too much. We don't say no. Your days are scattered and a mess. Megan's first thing when she came in and saw my calendar was like pretty much like thought I vomited all over my calendar with my time. It's like my time vomited all over my calendar. And we have to fix that. And now we keep getting better at it. Like just a week ago, we sat down and we planned, these days are for this, these days are for that. And we have free days. A free day is where I don't have to do stuff on the business. So there's days where I work on the business. There's days that I work for the business. So like there's inside the business, I should say, on the business. And then there's like free days. And so every quarter I do 3 free days. Every month I do 3 free days. Every quarter I do free 7 days. And the goal is to eventually once a year get to a 30-day sabbatical. That's one of the ways I was mentored and taught, which definitely helps. So there's no structure in your day, which is why you feel burnout, because you're constantly being pulled in different directions. When you got to write the ad, but then you got to jump on a sales call, and then you got to go, have a team meeting, and then you got to go do a client call. There's no structure, so you get pulled in so many different places that you feel as if you're being pulled apart, and that's kind of burning you out a little bit. The other thing I would say that I've learned is that you're not really burnt out. You're probably bored. And this was an interesting one that was brought to me by one of my coaches. And upon reflection, it's true. We're just not being challenged enough. So you're not solving problems, enough complex problems for you to feel stimulated. So you actually get bored, which then manifests its way into all the different areas that we were just talking about that lead to you feeling like you were burnt out. So you're just not doing what you want. So take a step back and, you loved your business start. What are you doing? Like, I think it comes from taking on too much because there's no structure. You're bored and not challenged enough in your business. And you just don't know what direction you actually want to take those things. When you have those things all firing, then it's easy to feel like you are burnt out. But in reality, they're just 3 separate things that could just be solved and tweaked and give you back a lot of your time.
It's an interesting perspective. I have not heard on burnout before, but that totally makes sense. Like the being bored, possibly being bored component
Yeah,
makes a lot of sense.
and the problem with that is then what some entrepreneurs get to is, especially in the beginning, when they feel like that burnt out feeling and they feel bored, they're like, well, how do I fall back in love with my business? Well, then it goes back to, are you actually doing what you want? So there takes some self-reflection and some self-awareness to kind of jump into it and say, well, look, I don't know if I'm actually doing what I want. Maybe I should stop and go do something different. So you actually have to ask yourself, is this a feeling that I'm actually on the wrong path? But a lot of people keep going down the wrong path because they don't want to quit. When in reality, look at entrepreneurs, they walk away from decisions all the time. They quit things all the time because they start so many different things that they have to, like, they saw everything through, it'd be impossible. So I think quitting needs to be, that's a different topic for a different day, but I think quitting needs to be addressed, and we have to have a different conversation around quitting. But I think you just leads to burnout because you're not doing what you want, you're bored, you're not challenged, and you have no structure, and you're taking on way too much.
Makes sense. Okay, so this question is from Chelsea. Being an entrepreneur, do you ever have to deal with guilt of not spending enough time with family?
I wouldn't know. I don't know if it's guilt. I think when I travel, again, you know this because you actually book my flights for me. It's like red eye coming home most of the time because I just want to be home as fast as possible with the kids, and be there with the family. So I usually red eye back. I usually try to go as early, like as close to the time that I need to be there as possible, and whatnot. I don't know if it's guilt versus I just prioritize being with my family, and I like being there, and I don't like being away. And when I'm away for too long, I actually feel it. It's like, you know, I'm looking forward to the day they're old enough where they could come with me, where the work becomes like a family trip, and they could come with me, and we could hang out, and they could watch dad in action, or we could spend nights together, whatever it is. So yeah, of course, when I'm away from them, and it's a decision I make, so I can't feel guilty about it. So I can't feel guilty because I could have said no. So again, it goes back to just being an adult, just being a responsible grown ass man about my decisions, and be like, okay, cool. It sucks that I feel bad, but I made this decision to come here. But it also makes me question things before I say yes to things, which goes down to another thing is we don't say no enough. And so if you're feeling guilty because you're constantly pulling away, ask yourself if you need to be saying yes to all those things in the first place. But so guilt is the wrong word, because guilt means I probably made a wrong decision about something.
Yeah.
And I'm in full control of my decisions and my actions. So I own them. So I can't feel guilty about it. So guilt is, I understand the way it's meant, but words matter, and the words you use matter. Guilt is the wrong word. Do I feel, sad that I'm not there with them? Sure. Do I miss them? 100%. Guilty? No, because I made the decision to be away.
Yeah. And you're right. When they get older, the family business trips, those are a lot of fun. My dad used to take us, or we used to do like the family business trips, and we see how, what he did for work, and we got to go to a lot of cool places. So I feel like that's something people don't think about as an option. I mean, I know it's not always an option, but if it is, it's a really cool experience for the kids.
And that's the balance too, right? Like how many times have you and I been on a call and Ryan or Chloe jumped in? That's my life, right? So they're involved in it. They're part of it. So it's not like work life, or I'm blended. I'm not an employee in a business, where I could like tune in and tune out and whatnot. Like, and I hope my employees don't do that, but it's all together. They're part of this with me.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. That is all our questions. And now it's time for my question of the week. Okay, so this one's a little bit different. So, what do you think is the best way for an entrepreneur, business owner to find a mentor or coach that's a great fit for them?
That's actually a really good one, Megan. No, because I think what people do is they look and see somebody. I looked at Damon John. I was like, I need him to mentor me. The guy had a clothing brand. He's huge now. I just want to be mentored by Damon John. And yes, I was lucky enough to score that. But in reality, wrong mentor at that time. Okay. Because he's past the startup point. He's past the grind point. Yeah, he's done certain things, but Actually, I don't even know if I take that back. I don't know if it was the wrong decision because it goes to my next point. I actually studied him before I even reached out to him. So I was reading the books. So I think one is find somebody that's doing or has done what you want to do. Mm-hmm. Study them, like check their content out, follow them for a bit. If they have a book, read their book, see if you still are in line with them. It's almost like you got to interview your mentor. Mm-hmm. Now, you're not going to call a mentor and be like, hey, can I interview you to be a mentor of mine? Because who's going to say yes to that? But there's ways to interview. You could go read their stuff on social media. You could go see if you align with it. You could go see if it's challenging and pushes you in a different direction. Are they just going to be someone who's just going to say yes to everything? Are they even reachable? What are you going to get? What are you even looking for? So I think a lot of it comes to the pre side before you even reach out is make a list of people you think would be a good fit based off what you want to do and the answers you want solved, and then start studying those people. And then once you narrow that down, once you pick a list of like 10 people and be like, all right, these people are all good. They all fit the bill. Now go look them up. Now go study them. Be like, all right, well, 3 of them really, they challenge me with their posts or with everything that they talk about. It actually is challenging. I'm going to reach out to those 3 people. And then you do it that way. And then you start. But I think everyone just goes straight into, hey, I'm going to how much to hire you to go do what I'm doing and to teach me everything that you're doing. And then they leave and they're like, it wasn't the right fit. So one is I think coaches need to make sure that they take on the clients that are willing to do the work. And 2 is, are you willing to do the work? And have you actually studied the person that you're trying to reach? Because if you come to me and sit there and say, I'm just going to show you everything, I'm going to teach you the way and do everything, and don't worry, you don't have to do anything about it, you're going to be very upset, because a lot of what I do requires you to actually do something. So if you're looking to not do anything and just having things solved, well, that's not really the mentorship I provide. So.
Okay.
All right. Perfect. Well, I like this week. This week was good. A lot of questions to touch home. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. And until next week, thank you very much. And Megan, always a pleasure. You're great. You're becoming a really good host. You should take over the podcast. Thank you. Want to take over the podcast?
Working on it.
I like it. Good answer.
All right.
All right. Bye.
See you next time.